All right, let's take a look at the Dillon XL750 primer feed assembly. We're going to review how this thing operates, some adjustments you can make to it to properly position your primers, as well as clean up problems. Frequently I'll see people's comments about how it's flinging primers or not picking up primers. So we're looking at the primer assembly here. We have a customized peephole in here to be able to see what's taking place when the machine is actually operated. So there's a close-up view. And as we operate our handle, we have the primer cup coming back, and you can see the swap that takes place. That primer stop pin, the white thing, is getting moved out of position while the cup gets underneath the primer, and hey, look at that, just like magic, it drops in. And the next primer doesn't go anywhere because as we move it out of position, it comes back into play to keep it from dropping out of the machine. All right, adjustments, why things don't work properly. And let's zoom out a little bit. Let's kind of see all the workings here. All right, first of all, we have a leaf spring, which the white pin presses against. So when we operate the handle back and the cup presses against it, we see that the leaf spring starts to flex. And what's causing this to move back is the op rod, which is right here. So the op rod is, and the amount of tension on the op rod is going to be controlled by this assembly right here, this single set screw. So you're going to remove that hex key, or not remove it, but loosen it enough that you can slide it up and down. Now, adjustments to this are made in very minimal increments. I'm talking like maybe a 32nd of an inch. So if you decrease or you lower it a 32nd of an inch, that is going to put more pressure at this point, causing it to come back more forcefully. And by forcefully, what we're looking for is enough tension to be able to get this to properly move all the way backwards underneath the primer assembly tube, the magazine inside of there, to get it to drop a primer in. You can see my rod, hopefully it's showing up in the video, my rod is flexed considerably. And that's not necessarily ideal. You don't want it flexed any more than is absolutely necessary. This rod will break at some point in time. Make sure you have a spare one on hand. So we're all the way back. We picked up a primer. As it goes forward, what keeps it from over traveling is this set screw and this nut. So by adjusting that, you can control how far your primer bar is going to go forward and backwards. And let's bring it back one more time. What controls it from going past alignment with the tube is a small hex head screw that the pencil is stuck into just below the spring. And that is a really stiff hex nut or screw on my machine. It took considerable force, but once it budged, then I was able to turn it. And perhaps I used some thread locker on it, or maybe it's just a tight tolerance, I don't know. But that's really it. I mean, those are the adjustments. This guy here is going to control how well it aligns underneath the tube this way. This one is going to control how much it travels underneath the shell plate. And we can't see it in the picture, but at the very top of our assembly, there's a knurled nut. You never want to over tighten that too much. If you do tighten it too much, then that presses the tube so far down that it comes too close to the pin, and it may not allow the primer to properly drop. So that should just kind of be almost loose. To call it even snug would be an exaggeration. More loose than snug. And then we also talked about the op rod, which is what's going to control the amount of tension to force the primer slide back. If you're having trouble and if these adjustments don't fix it, obviously take the whole assembly apart. That's these two screws down here at the bottom. You'll want to wipe everything clean. I always clean mine with just 99% isopropyl alcohol Do not lubricate it, doesn't require it. If primers are having trouble falling through the tube vertically, get that smaller large assembly out of inside this tube and clean it out. Use some isopropyl alcohol, push patch through. You're going to need some sort of very small wooden dowel to push the patch through. It's smaller than a cleaning rod. Well, I hope that helps, and hopefully this kind of inner workings inside here is something that maybe you've never seen before and gives you a new perspective of the magic of what's happening inside of there.